Burlington, Vermont. It really is an interesting place, especially to people who have never visited or really experienced the culture here. A small city nestled between the Green Mountains and Lake Champlain, it has a surprisingly vibrant, energetic culture for a city with a population barely over 40,000. UVM culture and Burlington culture is virtually inseparable. UVM feels very unique in the fact that its party scene usually consists of bands playing basement shows and house parties, whereas other schools are typically just frat basements with an obnoxious DJ playing. This begs the question, though, why Burlington? Why is the college scene here so different from everywhere else I've been? And why is Burlington so closely associated with drugs? Of course, the music industry across the board is closely tied to drug use, but why does Burlington have such a unique reputation for it? In this documentary, I set out to answer those questions by talking to several student bands across campus.
My impression of the Burlington music scene is that it's really open with the variety of music that goes on here.
There's a dozen or more UVM bands, but then like the professional music community in Burlington is really tight. It's really big for like how small the town is.
The demographic of music fans here is vast as well. All sorts of people, all different ages, college students, not college students, full-grown adults, elderly people. It really spans across everybody.
Vermont's interesting because there's like this contrast of old Vermont families who are often more on the conservative side. And then there's also like kind of newer families who just moved here who are probably more like liberal. Some people might use the word crunchy. I think it's kind of interesting because both sides of that equation kind of go for like the jam band rock and roll thing, it seems like. It seems like there's kind of like an agreement of what kind of music they want to hear at a party.
The fans, more than anywhere else I've seen, are like super supportive of the music.
People seem to really be able to like connect with the artist here.
If we play Nectars, like in a couple months we know like that one guy in the back in the tracksuit jumping really high is gonna be there, and like stuff like that.
And Burlington is a very close-knit community. It's very much a college town.
I kind of see UVM as a school as a place that sort of appreciates creative arts, and I know the kids definitely do. There's some artsy-ass kids up here.
You kind of get sucked into the idea of like the hippie culture here, and like the long, flowy, colorful skirts, and like the tie-dye and the Grateful Dead, Fish, all that kind of stuff.
Where people smoke a shit ton of weed and just hang out, which is true in a sense. But I think that draws those kinds of people to Vermont.
I think that the hippie revolution, so to speak, of the 60s spawned out of like educated college towns. People who were well-read and well-learned and knew their shit and became beatniks who then evolved into hippies. And I think that could be a lot of the reason why Vermont as a whole and Burlington has a strong sense of like that hippie community sort of feeling.
Recently, there's been a really big rise in like jam bands.
Especially given like the roots of music in Burlington in general, being like, the jammy, improvised, Dead-inspired type of stuff, which is just, undoubtedly intertwined with like the psychedelic movement and, hippie culture in general, which is all concentrated here in Burlington.
I think of like jam bands when I think of UVM and Burlington, just because like I'm in one and Fish went here and they're massive, and like there's a lot of other jam bands in town.
Post-COVID, a lot of people don't really want a lot of really gritty sounding music. They kind of just want to like, go back to basics. Like a lot of, like fun, upbeat, like blues inspired type music that just like makes you feel good.
The band culture here crosses with the kind of college scene.
I think honestly like the music shows are the best parties.
100+ people in just like a really cramped basement packed like sardines with like music that you can barely hear.
Sweat is literally dripping from the ceiling. It's so disgusting, like so disgusting. Sometimes I hate it so much.
Just like think of like the biggest fire hazard you could possibly have.
I feel like it's just a given with college students. They're gonna be drinking, they're gonna be doing drugs.
We will kind of get freshmen plus sophomores who kind of aren't, I guess, coming here for the actual music. They're just coming here to kind of party and to have somewhere to kind of party safely. If you have some place where you can just kind of pay $5 and just get shit-faced, like, why not take it up?
People would probably appreciate the music more if it wasn't just seen as an opportunity to come together and get plastered. But I also don't know if we would be doing that well if we weren't kind of provoking that energy.
I mean, psychedelics definitely like play into like the whole jam band thing, and that definitely like brings people out to shows.
Whenever you go to a concert or like a club or a show, it's just been accepted at this point in kind of culture as like, if you're going to a concert, you should be taking Molly or you should be taking acid.
Music can be beautiful with and without drugs, but some people might believe that the drugs can enhance the music in ways that they wouldn't be able to experience without them, because I think music is a drug itself.
I think as music scenes go, it's pretty healthy. The bands aren't like encouraging people to do anything insane.
Do kids sometimes take drugs, and maybe more than they should, I'm sure, but they reap what they sow. And I don't think it affects the overall group, community, party, music scene at all.
I've found myself as a non-musician listening to the music and just wanting to go and dance and have fun. And I think that's the most beautiful thing ever, just to like let your body go and just like enjoy the music and let it get into your soul and really feel it.
It's honestly really fun to play for people around here. Everyone's really into it, really into what we're doing and what other bands are doing. They seem like excited to be here, and they're always, I don't know, there's a lot of energy at shows, and it's very contagious.
My love for music, it grows every time I play a show, and I would not be able to do it without the crowd, because that's where I get all my energy from.